In the day of the internet and how connected we all are, there's just no need to. You're making life 10 times harder for yourself.
Today, we're putting together an episode that we know will be crucial if you're thinking about starting an online business this year coming. The reason why is because there are common misconceptions that people have that leads to common mistakes and sometimes fatal errors if you don't understand these things upfront before starting an online business. So if you're feeling a bit uncertain about getting started with online business, we want to make sure you feel completely prepared after listening to today's episode. So Lewis, I'm going to dive into your brains, your knowledge and experience of guiding people through starting their own online business. What would you say is the first misconception that you often hear from aspiring entrepreneurs?
Yeah, we hear a lot of misconceptions. I think people often convince themselves as to reasons why they shouldn't start a business, why society tells us that we shouldn't put our head above the parapet and go it alone and try out the venture on our own. I think one of the biggest hurdles people face actually comes from inside. It's an internal hurdle and a mental roadblock, and it's something that it's a belief in themselves. You know, I think people lack sometimes that belief in themselves, whether that's because of their upbringing or they have never created something and seen the results from something that they've created gives them evidence to believe that they could do this themselves. They see other people succeeding. Maybe they see like the members that we share stories of within Dropship Unlocked, and they watch it and they understand it and they can rationalize it and say, well, clearly this person's making money. They have a business now, but they just don't, there's a disconnect between seeing that and believing that it will work for them. They kind of, their internal dialogue, you know, the little person on their shoulder says, but it won't work for you. And so I think that mindset can be extremely limiting, that self-doubt, that sense of almost like imposter syndrome, I guess, where you think like, why I'm not a business owner. I haven't assigned myself that label. So how could I possibly succeed? And the reason that's such a damaging hurdle, I won't call it a roadblock, a hurdle, because you can overcome hurdles, you can jump over them, which you can this one. But when you lack faith in your own ability to succeed, you're essentially you're setting yourself up for failure, because you will find the evidence that supports your existing belief as you go through it and you hit your first hurdle in business, which you will do. We all hit hurdles throughout business every day. I've hit about 5 this morning and it's only 10:45. But as soon as you hit that first hurdle, you'll say, yeah, I knew I couldn't do it. I knew it wasn't right for me. I knew I wasn't going to be able to succeed at this. And you'll start to take what you think is evidence to support that existing belief of it won't work for me. You'll apply it to that hypothesis and that'll be it. You'll give up. And if you're going to have that belief from the outset, you might as well throw in the towel on day one and just give up, because you have to reframe your belief system as an entrepreneur. Believing it won't work for you can become a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if you don't believe it will work for you, you don't then put yourself out there. You don't do the things. You don't seek the support, the guidance. You don't have an open, porous mind to all of the information that's out there, and therefore you'll never know what's possible, and you'll never be able to tackle those challenges head on and think, how am I going to figure this out? You know, how am I going to sign my first supplier? How am I going to figure this piece of my website out that I want to set up in a certain way, but I just don't know how to do it yet? If we fell at the first hurdle and we all said, oh, well, I knew I couldn't do it, there wouldn't be entrepreneurs. So I think it's about building that resilience. And the nice thing about this in the age of the internet and this interconnected society that we live in, success leaves clues, doesn't it? You're not doing this on your own, trying to figure this out just through trial and error. Instead of feeling defeated by others' achievements, when you see these videos of people succeeding, consider their journey as just a blueprint. You know, they overcame certain challenges along the way that you would probably face, but now you don't have to, because you can navigate through the challenges they faced and actually learn from their path and use it to empower your own path. So it's powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so common. I think everyone has felt that lack of belief, and it would be natural because you haven't yet achieved that level of success that you're going after. So you haven't got proof in your own mind that you can achieve it. So you have to kind of give yourself that. And the way I gave myself that confidence was by seeing others succeed and all of the clues that they leave behind. And instead of being beaten down by others' success, instead you see it as a confirmation that you can also achieve the same success. Because if somebody else can achieve it, then you can as well. So you kind of create that as a mindset shift in your mind that as long as somebody else can achieve something, then you can as well. Gives you the confidence to take action. And when you take action, that's when things go in the right direction. But without that mindset shift from the very start, you can't go into business without having a complete belief in yourself that you will make a success in it. So it's a very powerful point. Now, another common issue that I like to talk about for people that fail in business because they haven't understood this before getting started is something that I know all too well, and is wanting to go it alone, wanting to have a big goal, big ambition, but you decide that the best way for you to achieve that is to go it alone and just start working, and kind of underestimating the value of working with others. So what's your take on this?
Yeah, I think if you want to go far, you've got to go together. You've got to use other people to lift you up, to lift them up, to support each other, and know that there will be hard times along the way. I pay tens of thousands of pounds per year. I invest that money into my own mentorship, to join masterminds, to be around people who are, where I'm in the room where I know that I can grow the most. That's exactly what we've created with Dropship Unlocked. It's for people who like the idea of building a business, but they don't want to, and they know that they don't need to go and try and figure it all out the time-consuming and expensive way, trying to do it alone on a desert island, all on their own. In the day of the internet and how connected we all are, there's just no need to. You're making life 10 times harder for yourself to reach that same eventual result. The other thing is, I believe it comes from a place of scarcity. If you're trying to do it on your own, you're almost thinking like, oh, I need to protect this little piece of the market because it's all mine. And if anyone else were to find out about it, then, or this business model, if anyone else knew about it, just accept you're not the first person to ever discover this business. You're not the first person to probably sell the type of products that you're going to sell. And as soon as you can kind of come over that and surpass that hurdle, you'll open yourself up to collaboration, to working with others and learning from others in a non-competitive and collaborative way. So yeah, I think wanting to go it alone often stems from just undervaluing that importance of mentorship and community. Usually what happens is you look for guidance along the way to help avoid making costly mistakes. It's like if I'm walking down the street through London, I've got a terrible sense of direction. If I need to get from one side of London to another and I'm walking and I need to get for a certain meeting, I'm going to use my GPS. I'm going to use Google Maps on my phone, right? If I just guessed, I might get there eventually and use all the road signs and try and figure it out and ask people along the way. But if I just use a proven path that is going to take me the most direct route with the least obstacles in my way, we know that that's going to provide a much faster route to the end destination. So when you can follow someone's path that's already achieved what you want in business, it's the same thing. It's like having the kind of sat nav in business. You avoid those pitfalls, you get directly to the path. And one of the best ways of doing that is to be part of a community, is to be in a group of people who can support each other, can help you, can lift you up when you're down, where you can add value. And it's like being part of a team where everyone lifts each other up. But when you're alone in entrepreneurship and you go out on your own, but you're used to maybe being in a company where you're a part of a big team, can feel quite isolating. So a great way of maintaining that sense of community and growing together and not being on this journey on your own on a lonely path is to join a community like that.
Yeah, I think a big reason for this kind of go it alone mindset that is so wrong is that you don't have anyone in your immediate friends or family that are pursuing the same goals. So you kind of already have that sense of you're doing this alone because you don't have immediate people around you in the physical space. So you kind of get into that mindset of wanting to do it alone. Maybe it's a generational thing. Maybe this won't be the case for the generations beneath us, Lewis, and people will already immediately understand that although there's no one they know physically and locally to them that are doing the same business model, they know instinctively that there will be others out there online. But certainly for me, I felt like I was on this journey alone because I had no one around me that was doing it. And so I kept myself to myself, watched a few YouTube videos and tried to do it myself. But I'll tell you one thing that's absolutely guaranteed when you do that is there will be a moment where you followed something to the letter, you went on it alone, but as soon as that breaks or doesn't look exactly how you expected it to be, you have got no one around you to help you both emotionally and tactically to tell you exactly the next steps to take to get over that hurdle. And it happens without question. Whatever business model you go into, there'll be times where you're not quite sure how to progress. And that's the value of having great people around you.